So I am here with Leo Rocha, again at Sales Comp 25. And Leo, you spoke here at the event.
I did.
Yeah, how was that?
I thought it was a great experience. I was really looking forward to speaking. It was actually my first time speaking at this conference. Spoke about incentives and more specifically SPIFs, which we can talk about what they are and why I spoke about them. But I thought it was a great session, just my opportunity to share some of my experiences and hopefully learn and teach at the same time. So it's like mutually beneficial to those who are there. I hope.
Great. I'm sure that it was. I actually was in that session. So I can tell you now it had some value, a lot of value. Okay, so I would love for you to just talk to people a little bit about what you do for your work. And then I want you to, because we're going to get into your session a little bit. So first, talk to people a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So I'm a senior director of compensation. So I handle all aspects of compensation for a company called CHG Healthcare. We're in the healthcare staffing business. And I do sales compensation, I do broad-based compensation, and I touch on executive compensation as well. So anything related to comp is on me and my team.
Wow, so that's a big deal. Typically, what I see in companies, bigger companies, Leo, you'll see some people will be working on incentive comp, others broad-based comp, and then they may have a separate team on executive comp. So it shows the depth and breadth of the experience for the teams that you're leading.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's been my experience as well in other companies. And this is actually the first company I've worked for where we have this structure. And to be honest with you, that really fascinated me when I learned about it. And I was super interested in the opportunity to really have that broader scope around comp and not just a focus on sales comp. Thought it would be an interesting thing to be involved in.
That's great. So how's it been so far?
It's been fantastic. I've been there for
That's
about a year now, and
yeah.
I'm loving it.
I love that. Okay, so I wanted to get into your session a little bit, and I would love for you to just talk to every listener here at Riding the Big Wheel about some big takeaways and talk to us a little bit about like what is a SPIF for those who may not know, and then what just about every B2B company we know, they're selling. And no matter what, it's what we're in business for. We're selling something. So they're probably familiar with it if they're not even familiar with the name. And I'd love for you to bring to this audience some of the things that you wanted them to take away from your session.
Yeah, absolutely. So the session was called SPIFs, Rocket Fuel or Burning Cash.
Hmm.
So in the title there, we're talking about is it a good thing or are you just wasting money away? So a SPIF, to define what it is, right? It's an acronym, stands for Sales Performance Incentive Fund, which a lot of companies will simply call it a special incentive, or sometimes they'll call it contest as well. That's kind of used interchangeably. But it's any type of incentive that's given on top or in addition to a regular sales comp plan. And what I found in my years of experience is that companies do this so very differently. There's no one single way to do it, which kind of makes sense because the whole idea is you identify a specific reason or need, something you want to accomplish, whether it's acquiring new customers, launching a new product, just moving pipeline, hitting a number, whatever it may be. Companies will design or introduce a SPIF to incentivize their sellers to do just that, right? That's so they will be different, but the problem is we did a poll during my session, right? If people thought that it was effective and or what their thoughts were on SPIFs, and it was over for the majority it was like negative thoughts about it, like just waste of money, waste of time. Just most of it was bad, which resonates with my experience too. I've seen a lot of SPIFs over my career, and most of them did not add value. And the whole purpose of my session was to present a way to think about SPIFs differently, and how do we make them work so that they're not a bad thing, but actually a good thing.
Okay, so I remember seeing you actually had a framework that you have developed over the years that helps people, individuals, think through whether a SPIF is actually hitting the mark or not. And can you just summarize that briefly for us, what some of the key points around that is?
Yes, the framework was really about finding balance when you design a SPIF. So What are the I thought deeply about what are the things that are really important when you introduce a spiff. And probably the one that comes to mind to most people is the return on investment. Is there a return here? Are we spending money to make more sales, or are we just spending money for sales that would have happened anyway? Or are we paying more than we should? So the ROI element is typically there, but companies don't do a great job of assessing the ROI on the spiff. So I designed this 5 point matrix to kind of really look at things like frequency. I call them rarity. Like, are they rare enough? Is there an ROI? And things like, are they clear for so that people understand? So that you could balance out things so people would assess and be able to see, okay, maybe I'm strong on one side, but weak on another side. So the whole idea is it's a point system. So you could be it could be a super clear spiff, which everybody understands. But if there's no ROI, it doesn't make sense. So the idea is finding the balance on different areas. So you not only have a strong structure around the spiff, but also a balanced structure. So the way I think about it is it's a point system, you add them all up. But if you have like a one or a two, which would be a low score, stop and reconsider, because you may be strong on everything, but if one area is weak, it's probably not going to work. And so that's the whole idea of before. And the interesting thing is, a lot of times what we'll do as practitioners, we'll look back at the spiff and try and understand why did it not work as we intended. That's very common. My whole the point of my session was do that before you launch the spiff. Run it through the system or the framework to assess your weak areas. Work on them before you launch the spiff. So that's in a nutshell what I was proposing.
It's excellent. So I know you. I know you pretty well, and you're one of those impressive individuals that gets a lot done for their company, seen as an advisor, a trusted person to get information from the C level, right? Like, people do have confidence in when you say something. And so I'm going to ask you to put yourself in a position here where you can, based on your experience and the things that you've observed, give some advice to leaders of companies. How do they retain people like you, right? So what is it that you look for in a career and in a company that would make you say, I want to stay here for some time? What are some of the great things you've seen?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you first of all for the compliments. I appreciate that. I try to do my best, and it's all I tell my people. All you can do is your best, right? There's no way to do better than your best. So do your best. So that I'm certainly trying to do that. And I've had a very meaningful career. I'm very proud of the places I worked in, the people I've met, the teams I've helped build. I think for me personally, I am really focused on growth. And when I say growth, I'm talking about my personal growth. I'm talking about team growth as well. So for me, I would what I would recommend is for people to retain strong leaders is make sure that they see the growth opportunity, but that they're also able to help their teams grow. Because I'll say this, Michelle, I've never been able to advance in my career if I didn't build a strong team that could support me in doing that. And as I had growth opportunities, people on my team had growth opportunities, and that's the only way it works. So for me, that's the key element. It's just enabling that growth, and it's growth for everybody. Like it's really it's like a wave, right? Everybody is brought along, but that requires you that the leader builds. It's not just on the company; it's on the individual to also build that strong team and be focused on developing people.
That is just excellent advice. So, what are some things that you've seen in your career that has been poor leadership, unintentional consequences? People maybe leaving, and as we know, in my experience at least, the people that tend to leave are the ones you don't even intend to have leave, right? So there's sometimes you make decisions or you lead a certain way and you don't even know what's wrong. So what have you seen in your experience that you would consider less than optimal leadership?
I think it goes back to that people centric approach that I was talking about. So what I've seen a lot of times is strong focus on the process, the business, which is all important. But I think we need to understand that the business, the company, is really a collection of people doing great work together. So if you miss the people, I'm not saying you should only focus on like people first and that's the only thing you do. It's again going back to the balance concept of balance, right? But I think a lot of times what happens is too strong of an emphasis on the process, hitting the number, the financials, which are all good things, but a little bit of less focus on developing the people. And that's what I think happens. And when I see poor leadership, it's not that people don't know what they're doing, it's that they shift their focus generally or focus too much on one or two aspects of running a business and let go of the people element a little bit. And to me, that creates that situation where people just feel like this is not a place for me to continue my career.
Okay, I want to shift gears. And you are Brazilian. You relocated here from Brazil many years ago. No, you have relocated your family here for a job opportunity. That's kind of how that all happened. And then there have been other things that happened once after you got here. So you had relocations within the United States as well. So I thought it would be very interesting for you to talk about from your perspective, the things that you learned and what you would want others to know who are thinking about relocating their company across the world, into a new environment. You are married and you have 3 children. Yeah. So what was that like? And how did you work with your family on just coming to the United States? And then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other moves that you experienced once you were in the US. But what advice would you give to people? How did you make it work? What was that whole experience like? It's a big loaded question, actually, the whole experience. So, we'll just take it in drips.
And well, I'll just say this to start off, Michelle. The several relocations they did, they're all different. It's never the same, and partly is because with a young family, I mean, the kids are growing, so it's different phases in their life. Maybe not so much for the adults, but even for us. I mean, there was a time when I first relocated. It was a different point in my career that I am today. But for the kids, it's even more exponential because they were talking about 3 years old to teenagers in high school. It's very, very different, right? So when we made our first big move, which was relocating to the U.S. from Brazil, um, the kids didn't have much of a say. They were very, very young, literally 2 and 3, I believe, at the time. They saw it as an adventure, but not really sure what was happening. But I did feel like the most important thing would be to be in lockstep with my wife. It's just kind of the two of us at the time because the kids were so young, but we had that as a common goal. And I think the important thing there was I was going, me personally, for a specific reason, and she was not going for the same reason. She was not getting a job in the U.S. Right? She was not going because of that. We were going as a family, but with different expectations of what we're going to do. So we had to align. Okay, what is it going to look like for you? What is it going to look like for me? So we look at the an individualized plan for each one of us. So that was a big lesson there because I think with the other relocations that happened later on, I kind of took that same approach, but now with the kids as they got a little bit older and had their interests and needs, and we kind of had that individualized view for each of them.
Oh, that's interesting. So, when you moved here to the U.S., let's see, you were in Connecticut. Talk to me a little bit about where you lived and what that was like. And was there anything that maybe surprised you and that maybe you weren't prepared for? And what you would want people to know about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was interesting. So just so my story went kind of like this. I worked for a big multinational company in Brazil, and I had an opportunity to come and get my graduate degree in the U.S. So that's really the first reason I came was so I took a pause from work, went full time back to school, got an MBA, and then after I was done, I went back to work with the same company. So that's kind of like how the relocation happened a little bit. So that's how I landed in Connecticut. So I was working for a company out of New York, but we lived in Connecticut. I was there for a few years. but that's not where I went to grad school. So I think the first thing was, for someone relocating, this might be interesting for those who will do that at some point or have done that, especially if you move around after you do your first relocation. You tend to, at least it happened with us, we kind of tended to anchor our experience on the first place you land. It's like, this is where we live. So I lived in one place for 2 years as a student, really, going to school. So that was my anchor of, okay, what does living in the US looks like? And when we moved to a different state, different for a job, completely different lifestyle, there was a little bit of an impact of, oh, this is very different now. Like, this is a completely different situation. The place looks different. The culture is a little bit different. My day to day is different because I'm not going to work. I'm not going to school. So yes, there was a little bit of what is happening now, right? How do we figure this out? I'm very lucky to have a great family, and we kind of, we adapted, we got used to things. Lots of support from the community, so everything was good. But there was a little bit of an impact. So I did a second relocation after that, which was from Connecticut to Georgia, which is when we met right in Atlanta. So when I moved to Georgia, kids were a little bit older. Probably my daughter was middle school age, sixth grade, I think, and kids still, the other two were still elementary school. I think my youngest one wasn't even in school at the time. He's in third grade now. Yeah, he was like preschool. So they were a little hesitant, but okay, kind of okay. Yeah, excited. Again, great adaptation. We had a great time. I think it was kind of similar with very different place, and just things are just different. It was a different job too, so that was a new experience for me. My wife making new friends, different for her. We ended up adapting very well, and we actually spent a lot. We probably spent the most. It's funny because we moved around so much that I think that's the place we spent the most time. So if you ask my kids today where they're from, they'll say Georgia. That's their reference point. It's like, yeah, I grew up in Georgia, and so now last relocation, right? Kids in one daughter in high school, my other son going to high school now. That was different. It was like, oh, I don't want to leave my friends. What's happening here? Right? So again, same principle as in the beginning, is seeking that alignment and understanding. It's going to be different for each member of the family. So how do you treat that? So we talked about, we got to live life. Like, we have opportunities. Let's do it. It's going to be great. If not, we can come back or we can go elsewhere. I mean, it's, let's try it out. It took a little bit of convincing. One thing I really do because of that individualized plan is making sure, especially the kids, that they have lots of opportunities. We live in Utah now, so to do things in Utah that they couldn't do elsewhere. So for example, it's a great place for skiing and snowboarding, right? You couldn't really do that in Atlanta, right? So that's the sort of, I try to bring to them, okay, since we're here now, let's enjoy the experiences that this location offers. So they see there's a point in us being here. Or there's things we can do here that we couldn't do as regularly in other places. So I try to bring those things up and have them just enjoy. And again, look for support from the community. Try to make new friends. Be a person who, I think the easiest way to make friends is to really be of service to others. So look for opportunities to serve and to help out your community. Don't expect that people are going to show up at your door and try to be friends with you. Try and reach out to people and be friendly to them, and they will reciprocate. So that's kind of like how you've approached it.
Well, great advice. Thank you so much, Leo, for being here with us today. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, Michelle. Pleasure to be here.
Run toward the